David Lucas has completely destroyed his career, and he's got no one to blame but himself. He used to be a fan favorite on Kill Tony, a quick-witted roast comic who looked like he might actually blow up. But that momentum vanished fast. Now, he's known as a joke thief, a compulsive liar, a self-admitted abuser, and somehow he's still out there begging others for money and favors. His fall from grace has been brutal and completely deserved. Keep watching. You'll understand why it's impossible for his career to recover. On his very first appearance on Kill Tony, David Lucas told a story about his parents owning a record company.
So David, is that what you do full time? Do you
Yeah, write, act, and live on my family money. You know what I'm saying?
Ooh, family money.
Yeah.
Really? What kind of family money do you come from?
You ever heard of the record label Slip and Slide?
Fuck yeah. Slip and Slide?
Yeah, with Trick Daddy, Rick Ross. Yeah, my family owned that. So like, my family ain't broke. You know what I'm saying? I'm come from like a suburban hood family.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is so cool. What's
Teddy
that?
Lucas.
The only problem is that this was a complete lie. And if you thought that lie was wild, it gets worse. Because David didn't stop at pretending his family owned a record label. He's also been claiming for years that he's the son of Georgia State Senator David Lucas and that his mom does real estate.
What does your parents do or whatever?
My mom, she does real estate. She owns a lot of property and shit.
Oh, heck yeah. What did you do for work? Tell us all. What did you do before you retired?
I was a computer operator. July the 7th, I was at my company 45 years.
Yeah.
You got a dad?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
My dad's actually a senator. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
This was, of course, a bold-faced lie. David Lucas has a habit of making things up and hoping it sticks. The senator's real son was an accomplished football player who won a Super Bowl ring with the Cowboys and is now in his mid to late 50s. The numbers just don't line up. There's a full Grantland article that lays out the timelines in family history. The funniest part is that the real David Jr. is listed on Pro Football Archives at 165 pounds. He has the same name and same hometown. That's it. And yet, somehow, that coincidence turned into another fake backstory he ran with for years. This next part should have been the end of David's career because in the middle of a podcast, with zero hesitation, he admits to choking his ex-girlfriend until she passed out. You gotta see this.
One time, I used to be a crazy boyfriend, bro. I used to be like one of them little jealous niggas. And she was taking a shower when she was about to go somewhere.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, you about to go out and be a hoe, this, that, and the other. I was like, I might as well just stop fucking with your ass. And then she said something like, I was like, yeah, I was talking shit like, yeah, you gonna miss this dick. And she was like, I can always suck another. Or something like, it set me off, and I grabbed that bitch from behind her neck, bro. And that bitch, I choked her, dog, and she passed out. She passed out of my arm in literally like 5 or 6 seconds. Scared.
Oh my gosh.
I was so scared, I thought
Was that in the shower?
She was drying off.
Drying off?
Yeah, bro, she collapsed in my arm. That was scary as a bitch, bro.
What'd you do?
As soon as she hit the ground, she woke back up. I started crying.
Did you drop her, or you sort of set her on the ground?
Bro, I literally, like, imagine you choking somebody,
Yeah.
and before you know, they just pass out.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And I wasn't prepared to catch a body,
Right.
to catch her falling body.
Literally and figuratively.
Man, listen, bro. When she fell to the ground and she woke up, she was like, what happened?
What'd you say? You slipped in the bathtub?
I told her that she was yelling, and then she just fell out.
What did she say? How'd she take that?
She believed it, but then like when we later on down the line, I told her I had choked her, bro. Like when she fell to the ground, we both started crying. I was crying, baby, bro. I was literally scared, dog. Like in that.
What would you have done if you accidentally killed her or something? What would you have done? Try to hide the body or go to the police?
I probably would have told the police we were having kinky sex because she was naked. They would have believed it.
Right.
Like we was having kinky ass sex. That bitch told me to choke her from behind. Yeah, bro, it was scary. Because she was naked. They would believe it.
Before we even get to the joke stealing, we have to talk about one of the most uncomfortable things David Lucas has ever done, and that's saying a lot. This one happened on Matan Evans' podcast. And how does David start the interview? He shows Matan inappropriate images on his phone, and it only gets worse from there.
You ever did Grindr? Are we in a safe space?
We safe space.
What do you think about that?
What is this? You keep showing me like porn images.
What do you think about this?
Why are you showing me that? That's extremely weird. Show that to him. 20.
Kind of cute.
Me? You're saying this.
Little earring. You're older than 17.
I promise I'm 17.
Let me see. Let me see your ID.
Put so much effort into that shit and you won't even smell it.
Let me rub your back. Why you touch- Get real nice and close like we're in prison. Sit that little pale booty down.
can't even be a predator if that's what you're alluding to.
No, Game of Thrones. What is you talking about, bro? What are you talking about?
Because I thought you were trying to.
You on some weird
I
shit.
told you a predator.
I'm not a predator.
No, for sure.
Skip the question, bro. We ain't even finna entertain that bullshit you talking about right now, because I got children, and that's a very sensitive topic.
Triple prostate?
Yeah. I'll put my hand in my ass and make you smell it, bitch. You gotta scratch the ass. Scratch the ass so you can smell it.
Let me ask you this. Why would you make the joke about George Floyd when you have no idea how it can affect the black community?
Because I wanted to.
But what?
Because I wanted to.
You notice how he tries to intimidate people smaller than him? First his ex-girlfriend, now him. It's a pattern, and honestly, it's pathetic, by the way. The only reason David agreed to do the podcast was because he was pranked into believing he was getting $10,000, which doesn't make any sense. Nobody's paying that much for David Lucas. But even if he felt misled, it still doesn't justify how he treated him. Picking on someone smaller than you shows a complete lack of character, especially when you couldn't even win a wrestling match against Tony Hinchcliffe.
David Lucas up. David Lucas is like 300 pounds. Damn. No. He did a duck under, got behind him, pushed him onto his back.
I believe
David Lucas was scrambling, trying to get to his feet. Hinchcliffe was controlling him. He was furious.
After everything we've seen so far, this next part somehow feels like a palate cleanser. David Lucas has been caught recycling jokes from Twitter, Reddit, and even comment sections. They're stolen and performed on stage or podcasts like its original work.
Well, David Lucas has been accused many times of taking jokes from Twitter and using them in his Kill Tony set. Laughing, thinking it's his stuff, but it's really, black Twitter. And we're going to see, did he steal it? Let's find out.
I got an 8-year-old and a 3-year-old daughter. Daddy, were you sad when you were a slave? I'm like, bitch, I was born in 1990. Ask your grandma that bullshit. What the fuck is...
Okay. To Nadia. Okay? Not David Lucas. So her joke here on Twitter is, my niece just asked me, did you cry when you were a slave? Sis, I was born in 97. That's literally almost word for word. And they both just came up with this. You were a slave. Sis, I was born in 97. All right, now let's go back to David Lucas's so you could hear.
Daddy, were you sad when you were a slave? I'm like, bitch, I was born in 1990. Ask your grandma that.
But that's word for word, if you ask me. That's a steal.
What makes this even harder to ignore is that David isn't some unknown open mic guy. He's in the Joe Rogan orbit, the same Joe Rogan who famously went after Carlos Mencia for joke stealing and helped wreck his career. Rogan made it clear that theft in comedy was a deal breaker. At least that's what people thought. Meanwhile, David's doing the exact thing Rogan stood against, and no one in that circle seems to care. It completely undercuts any idea that David is some roast genius. David Lucas isn't just embarrassing himself on stage. It's what he does off stage that really seals it. Because now, the guy who once acted like a roast assassin is out here begging for handouts. One moment happened backstage at Kill Tony when the Mr. Beast crew was visiting. Instead of networking or even just acting normal, David starts angling for money, trying to charm his way into a donation like he's doing stand-up for a tip jar.
$100? Look at him. Look at the shirt. He's the money bag.
For real?
He's money bags.
Yeah, I seen that. I seen.
Then there's the Fatfish podcast with Ralph Barbosa, where David tries to pull off one of the most awkward moves yet. When David hears that Ralph has a car collection, he casually floats the idea of trading vehicles, like it's a fair deal, and not just him trying to walk away with something nicer.
Okay, man, I miss my G-Body. I should have never sold mine. I had two.
I'll give you this.
No, I had three.
To trade for something you got at your house.
I don't have much. I don't think that you would want, but you can come shop.
Maybe for two. Trade it for two.
2 cars?
Because I got an LS motor waiting on me.
I'll tell you what, man, I don't know if I want to do this, though.
If you said on the podcast, you got to.
Well, here's the thing, is that I don't know if I'm convinced that I want to get rid of it or not.
It's painful to watch. Not just because he's asking, but because he clearly doesn't see how uncomfortable it is. Now, this actually happened while I was still making this video, and it proved everything I've been saying in the most perfect way. David showed up on a recent Kill Tony episode, and the reception was brutal, both from the audience and the comments section. But that's not even the craziest part. Someone got pulled from the bucket who happened to know David personally, and he exposed him right there on stage.
David hit me up out of nowhere. He was like, "What's up, my boy? What you doing?" I'm like, "Shit, I'm just at the crib." And we ended up hanging out at this arcade, little bar and shit. We got real the Casamigos. He was supposed to buy them, and then they ended up on my tab. But that's cool. This is my boy anyways.
Yep. Welcome to hanging out with David Lucas, everybody.
It's all good.
If you've ever wondered what it's like.
What goes around comes around, because you're fat. All right, but...
I mean, I knew I was already right, but this just made it undeniable. By now, we've seen that David Lucas is comfortable punching down, begging for favors, and recycling jokes. But there's one thing he really can't handle: losing a roast. That's supposed to be his thing. He's the roast guy, the insult comic, the one who walks up and takes shots at everybody on the panel, guest or not. But when Harland Williams showed up on Kill Tony, David got humbled. He came in with the usual fake confidence, and Harland absolutely cooked him, calmly, effortlessly, and he's not even a roast comic.
Judging by your hair, you had an audition for Elvis, the stage play.
Well, that didn't go too well.
No,
Judging by your hair, the children of the corn have diarrhea.
The crowd turned on David fast. Harland was landing everything, and David was flailing. And when David posted the clip to his own channel, he edited out Harland's laughs, like that was going to erase what everyone just saw. But it didn't end there. Harland came back for a second episode, and David tried again. Same result, another loss. Even more embarrassing.
I don't even know what he's saying. He roasts like me, bro. That's why I can't roast this nigga.
You can't.
It's like the way I roast. It's like roasting myself. We say crazy shit. Damn it. You, Harland.
You just keep saying roast. Eventually, one will appear. It's like
I'm gonna call it.
Like roast. There's a fucking roast for the guy.
I'm gonna call it. David,
By the way, quit sweating that fucking gravy all over me.
This wasn't just a bad night. Combined with the Maton situation, this was the moment the tide turned. The comments shifted, the support faded, and people started seeing David for what he was: a loud comic with thin skin, recycled material, and no ability to take a graceful loss. At one point, David Lucas looked like he was on his way up. He had a solid spot on Kill Tony, a growing fan base, and just enough confidence to carry bad material. But now, that seems to be all over. He's admitted to domestic abuse on camera. He begs for handouts, steals jokes, lies about his past, and melts down the second someone roasts him back. And most recently, David was back on Kill Tony, not as the roast assassin, but as a co-guest, paired with someone who's barely even an open mic comic. That's where Tony Hinchcliffe sees him now. Not as a headliner, but rather as just some background noise. David basically said nothing the entire episode. He spent most of his time hitting on her, because of course he did. That's basically on brand at this point. His podcast views are down. The audience has moved on. Even in a scene that overlooks a lot, David's worn out his welcome. He built a name off being loud, rude, and real. But now that everyone's seen who he actually is, there's nothing left to hide behind.